Okay, so this is going to be a lot more shameful, I guess. I mean, nothing is more shameful for Meghan Markle and Harry because everything looks to them normal. Even they're being, if they're insulted, if they are being dumped, if they're being fired, if they're being, I mean, whatever it is, they always find an excuse to say, well, this happened because of that. But this time, what really happened, I think this is going to be very, very shameful. And this is going to be a very big embarrassment and a big PR disaster. Take a look at this article. Basically, this is coming in the news only recently. I think it was published a few hours ago. And this time, the boss of Spotify, the chief executive, not like, I think his name was Bill Simmons, who talked about Meghan Markle and Harry, how they are being the grifters. But this time, it is coming from chief executive of Spotify, and his name is Daniel Ek. Let's take a look at this report first. But before I move on, just to remind you, most of my viewers are not subscribed to this channel. If you're one of them, consider subscribing because you do not want to miss out all the details. If you don't subscribe, I'll be very, very sad, and God knows what I'll do. But just kidding. Consider subscribing. Let's take a look at this report first. So Spotify boss suggests Harry Meghan's 18 million podcast deal did not work, quote, because it failed to make consumers happy, end quote, after such success made just 12 podcasts in 2.5 years. Let's take a little bit more into this. The chief executive of Spotify has suggested that Harry Meghan's 18 million podcast deal collapsed because it failed to make consumers happy. After the success made just 12 podcasts in 2.5 years. Guys, this is what I want you to focus on. 2.5 years. They could not do enough brainstorming. They could not screw their brains tight enough to just to squeeze that thing out, but they could not do it for the last 2.5 years after they started the podcast. Daniel Ek, who was making a rare media appearance almost 4 months after it was announced that Archetypes podcast would not be renewed for a second season, admitted that some of the Spotify's innovative ideas have not gone to plan. Of course, Spotify made a big mistake by hiring Meghan Markle or having her signed up for the streaming company, because they should have known. They should have made a better decision. One bad decision for a big company like Spotify can make it or break it. Meghan's multi-million pound Spotify deal was axed in June following, quote, a mutual decision between the streaming giant and Artuel Audio, the Duchess of surrogates, or sausages, whichever way you call it. Sources close to the multi-million pound deal, which was signed by the couple in 2020, said it was dropped after the pair did not produce enough content to warrant the full payout. Okay, I want to pause here for a little bit and want to tell you something. It was not because they produced only 12 episodes, or that they could not come up with more content. Thank God. The reason was really the fact that none of those episodes were able to make any cut for Meghan Markle or for Spotify. None of those. And in fact, every time we would hear Meghan speaking, a lot of people will be vomiting. It is almost like, it's very, very cringe, and people will throw up. Did you throw up? Let me know in the comment section. I was cringed, that's for sure. I could not take it. I'm like, oh God, when she will stop embarrassing herself. When she will stop embarrassing herself. That's exactly what I was thinking. But that's not what Meghan was thinking. This is not how she works. So sources now, they're saying that this chief executive Daniel Ek is now saying, well, these people could not create enough content. But what I say, and I believe you agree with that too, is that their contents were horrible. Thank God they could not, or they did not produce more than 12 episodes. If they did, can you imagine, the whole of humanity will come to an end, and everybody will be like putting their hands in their ears and stop working. So there will be a global disaster. We avoided that, thank God. 12 episodes. That was a huge favor. This is the biggest favor they have done to us, Spotify, and of course Meghan Markle too, in a way, right? Shedding new light on the decision not to renew Harry Meghan's deal, Spotify boss Ek told BBC, quote, we thought new innovation was needed to happen here. we thought we can come in and offer a great experience that both make consumers very happy and allows new creators new avenues. No, you guys are stupid. I mean, I'm sorry to say use this word, but you guys are. I mean, where is your brain? You grow a brain, Spotify. You do not know who you are dealing with. That's not acceptable. He added, and the truth of the matter is some of it has worked. Okay, take a look at this. I mean, we need to really pause here and say, no, it did not work. None of those worked. Some of it has not. I mean, he's putting it very politely. I understand his business strategy. We are learning from those, and we are moving on. And we wish all of the ones we did not renew with the best of success they can have going forward. We know what he's alluding to is the fact that if you remember, Spotify, they had to actually lay off hundreds of employees. If you don't remember, I should remind you, and actually made two videos on this, just one on this topic. Once they laid off 200 employees, and then they came up with another layoff, 200 employees, so total 400. And they also lost in terms of revenue big time. And all of these things were happening just when Meghan Markle was done with the podcast. The revenue stream went down, even though one report suggested Meghan's PR team, the Duchess squad or Sussex squad, whatever they call themselves, they said, no, look, they made some good money, Spotify, because of the Meghan's podcast. And then I looked it up. I went to their even share market, share price, and all those things, even though I'm not expert in that. But it was very clear, even for a layman like myself, that they were actually not profitable at all. Those shows, those episodes, they were nightmares for Spotify, and so they lost in big revenue. He added, the truth of the matter is some of that worked, some of that did not work. I don't agree with that. Because he's now trying to, looks like to me, save his face by saying something good came out from this, but we know nothing came good from this. So this is the guy, Daniel Ike suggested that Harry Meghan's 18 million podcast deal collapsed because it failed to make consumers happy. Nevertheless, he did acknowledge, that's a good thing, that these duplicitous duos, these grifters, they are good at nothing. I mean, with the Spotify, they failed big time. That's good thing that he's acknowledging that, and we all know, because if he did not acknowledge, and if Spotify would have lied, which they are still lying, they should come out in public and say for what it is, instead of wishy-washy and beating around the bush. They should just make a statement and say that these duplicitous duos, you should never hire them. They're good for nothing. They're just grifters. And now keep it at that. But because of the company's benefit, looks like they are not being that upfront. But I hope one day they will come out and put all the blames on Meghan and Harry, because they deserve that. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Have a wonderful day.